Hello, everyone. How are you today? This is Cassandra Williamson with Midday Mustard. So, what do we want to talk about today? We got all kinds of things we can discuss. I'm on 5 different channels now. I have 2 different X accounts, so I'm over on that one too. So I'm on 2 X accounts and Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and all those places. And I know that I'm going to get a lot of people who are just driving by, basically scrolling through, looking at things, and they see this, and without clicking on it, they watch. So you can't necessarily count that little eyeball thing over there that's in the top left corner of my screen that tells me how many people are watching. But anyway, yeah, we got a few things that I wanted to cover today. One of them is President Trump is definitely tone deaf. And I'm borrowing that title from an MSNBC title that was written by Paul Wildman earlier this morning. All right. And basically, it's something we've been talking about for the past 3 or 4 days, really. Is President Trump is telling parents to only get their children 2 or 3 or 4 dolls rather than the 30 that they've been getting. And I'm going to tell you, that just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know about you. Who is he to tell us to limit our spending and to cut back on that spending and not buy anything extra or anything like that? It just doesn't make any sense because, he's got all those golden toilets there in that Manhattan building. And he's got all this stuff going on, buying all this. He's got big businesses all across the world. They're expanding and growing. And has not taken the single step to disengage from any of those things, for ethical reasons. No, he's keeping his businesses. He's running them as he is. But it just kind of gets under my skin, really. It pisses me off, essentially, that's what he's doing. He's telling us not to spend any money so that, we can make it through all these tariffs and different things that are going on. And, it just gets all over me. But anyway, I'm located in Eastern Kentucky. And one of the things that we know how to do around here is make do with what we have, keep pushing forward, keep working hard, keep applying ourselves, do everything you can to move forward. And we know how to tighten our belt when we need to. That's the biggest part about this place, is we know how to do these things because we know that the economic winds come and go. We've seen the highs and we've seen the lows. We've seen the really good highs, the great big highs, and we've seen the really horrible lows in this area right here. And I'm located in Pike County, Kentucky, which is across the Tug River from Mingo County, West Virginia. And Williamson, West Virginia is about 5 miles away, and Matewan, West Virginia is about 5 miles away in the other direction from where I'm located, Eastern Kentucky. I mean, it's just, we're right here in Hatfield-McCoy feud country. And we know how to do things like that. We know how to have a feud too, apparently. So when the president says, you need to be, you don't need to be spending all that extra money on the extra dolls and things like that, for your kids for Christmas. And he's living in his ivory tower in his gold-plated office, the Oval Office there in the White House. That's so gaudy. I don't know about you, but that really just is kind of gaudy to me. It looks like, let me show you. This is what it feels like to me, the arrogance of it, and hubris, really. Let me show you just how much I appreciate all the gold and finery in the world. I'm going to put everything in the office in gold. He just has a fascination with stuff that's gold. Toilets, you name it. Okay? That doesn't necessarily mean he knows anything about all those things, but, he probably does a little bit. I'll grant him that. So it just gets under my skin because this president is telling people to cut back on their spending when, in fact, he needs to cut back on a couple of those places. He's, the golf clubs he's got, and the other billionaire class running this country need to actually, maybe sell one of their 30 houses or two of their 30 houses around the country or wherever they might be. You need to cut back too. Let's see what you do. Nope. The way this thing is set up right now is that the billionaire class are the ones running the country. Yes, that's what's going on. And all of these different things out there with the dollar declining, and the stock market is very chaotic. It's up one day, down the next day, up and down. And There's nothing consistent about it. And just earlier, I saw that it was like down 94 points on the Dow. So yeah, these things are it's wildly chaotic. And then he's got all these deals going on and trying all this kind of stuff that he's trying to work out. And, you know, when you're trying to pinpoint what is the modus operandi, what is the guiding factor with President Trump, President Donald J. Trump, what is his modus operandi? What motivates him to do what he does and to go through things? One, you have to realize that he has no sense. He doesn't care about the morality of any particular topic or issue or whether or not it's the right thing to say or do. He only thinks of winning, or at least destroying everybody who is in his way and who has objected to him, and destroy them. There's retribution left and right within what he's doing, every bit of it. When in fact he said last year he wasn't going to do that. Remember when he was running and said, "I'm not." Somebody asked him, he says, Are you going to take retribution on any of these people who have opposed you and all that kind of stuff? And he said, "No, I'm not going to have time for that, because I'm going to go in there and I've got things I've got to accomplish, and that's going to be the furthest thing from my mind." Within the first 100 days, what did he do? Go after everyone who opposed him in any way. He's completely amoral. There's some things that are immoral that he does, or moral that he does, but the only thing that drives this man is whether or not he can gain something at the other end of it. It doesn't matter who he has to squash to get there. It doesn't matter what he has to destroy or change to get there. And he's going to lift up everybody around him who support him blindly. And what do you have? Whenever you look at a meeting with the president, when he has his cabinet meetings, has any one of you looked at that or watched any of those things? You might as well just shovel a pile of manure in there, set it in the middle of the table, let each one of them stick their head in it, and then go crawl around groveling to Trump. That's what it looks like. It looks like a bunch of groveling sycophants. But they know that their position, their location within the government is secured only by how obsequious they can be, how much they can shovel the crap off that table for Trump, putting his name in it. As long as they do those things, that ultra loyalty test, well then, they'll succeed only as long as they do exactly as Trump says. Now, there's no room for extra thought in all of that. There's no room for input. It doesn't seem like it. I don't know if he actually entertains any other ideas. I know Laura Loomer has all kinds of influence. Anyone seeking to be a part of the Trump administration anywhere, if Laura Loomer if she doesn't like you, well, then Trump hears about it, and that's the end of you. There are some extremists there. Now, let me just say they're extremists in every group. All of these groups have these kind of things within their echo chamber. And we have a lot of it. Even within the community that I'm part of, there's a lot of echo chamber stuff going on. Silos. People are protecting their silos. They're not looking out for other people. They're not trying to connect with anyone else. They think they are with all the stuff that they do and all this kind of thing. But basically everything the echo chamber does is they pat each other on the back and say, "Oh, you're so good. You're going to do everything. And I mean, we're so behind you, but don't let these young upstarts come in there and kick out the old people. The older people have been around a while." No. You don't want any fresh blood, new people thinking and other ways of looking at things. And you can't take any kind of perspectives that might not be something that you have already agreed to. So what am I talking about right there? Well, for the past 3 episodes, for yesterday's Midday Muster and for last night's or yesterday evening's The Path Forward, I spent a lot of time talking about these echo chambers and how things get, what the impact of that is. So kind of let me preface this with this, because this is part of an echo chamber thing that's going on, and they're being built right now in front of your very eyes. Okay. So a West Point professor, West Point Military Academy, resigned the other day because he was a philosophy professor. He disagreed with the way the Trump administration, is going through and getting rid of anything they disagree with there at West Point, changing the syllabus, changing the syllabi and everything else, changing the languages that use, changing the acceptable words and acceptable books and all this stuff. And he said, this is not what we want for our leaders. And then Hegseth says something like, you will not be missed. Those are his words, reported on several different sites. Fox said it. Several other places have said it too, but you will not be missed. Look, there's all kinds of silos out there, and there's all kinds of ways of doing things that are not conducive to the overall sustainability of a particular organization. Let's take, for instance, the United States and just the United States itself. What we go up and down in cycles over history. You go up conservative and liberal, conservative and liberal, conservative and liberal. It's just, that's the way it's always been from our founding, but it's bigger than that. But anyway, so it's like, how do we get our people to talk to each other and hear each other? Well, really, you've got to punch a hole in that silo wall. Somebody's got to punch a hole in that wall and say, I'm tired of the gatekeepers. I will not have somebody standing here telling me you got to have a gatekeeper before you can get in and communicate with people, or that you're going outside the boundaries of whatever it is that you think we ought to be saying as a community, okay, or as a group. The conservative silo, the Republican silo, the libertarian silo, and then you got over here the liberal and the far right, far left and far right silos. And there are certain things that you have to do to earn membership to those things. And then the gatekeepers inside keep telling you, well, that's not the right way to do it. Say it this way. Or, you need to move over this direction, or you don't talk about this person. Well, I'm going to tell you something. For me personally, I entertain and love to engage with people who have diverse thoughts and opinions. Somebody who thinks differently than me, because I know, one, I don't know it all. There are some topics I know a lot about, but even within those, I don't know it all. There's no way one person can know it all about everything. And it's arrogant to assume otherwise. So I want to surround myself with people who actually think differently, don't you? I mean, come on. Do you want to just have all your little lapdogs come along and go, you're doing great. Come on, we're just going to agree with you in every way and all of that. Oh, I don't want that. I want the challenge. I want the challenge to think differently and to at least entertain other possibilities, because that's what moves the world forward. Strategic leadership in the military, whether these leaders come out of West Point Air Force Academy, the Naval Academy, wherever, or any institution, whatever it is they come from, however they get there because they're willing to entertain other perspectives and do it in a way that's respectful and decent, like decent human beings ought to behave. You can do that, and you can talk with them and engage with them, and that's just good common sense, right? But strategic leadership in the military especially, and actually at any level, could be in the corporate world, but that kind of level of leadership requires people who can think outside the box, who are well read and knowledgeable of all kinds of different things, and can at least understand another perspective, whether they agree with it or not. So when you're kicking out or causing professors to leave from over at West Point, or when you're removing books from all of these academies, what you're doing essentially is cutting off the ability to learn something they ordinarily would not learn, to see a perspective they ordinarily would not have. And leaders have to be able to do that. They have to be able to look at multiple things and then decide whether it's something they want to do. But how can you do that if you don't have access to the resources, right? Well, it baffles my mind. It baffles me completely, because every leader, every deep thinking, strategic leader and thinker I know of have been well read, and they have long lists of reading books, and sometimes they actually read them multiple times. For instance, the books I read 30, 40 years ago, I need to reread them now. I haven't started on some of them. I need to, but I need to reread those things now because my experiences and the things I've learned along the way will color that new reading. Okay. It will help me see it in a different way. There's something I can gain from reading it later on. It just helps leaders to be the best they can possibly be. So here's what Hegseth said. I'm going to share a little screen with you. And this is Pete Hegseth. When was this? Yesterday. He said this yesterday. That's a little video clip. Hang on. Here we go. Let me share a screen with you. Screen and window right here and there. And here we go. I'm going to share this one. This is from the feed, Hegseth's feed on X, okay?
Here at the Defense Department, we continue to relentlessly pursue the president's agenda, especially on readiness. He put out an executive order a week into his presidency, stating that prioritizing military excellence and readiness, that expressing a false gender identity divergent from an individual's sex cannot satisfy the rigorous standards necessary for military service. We agree, and so we implemented that policy. It was challenged in court, and of course, we appealed. And 2 days ago at the Supreme Court, our policy was upheld. And so we're going to continue to advance that policy here at the Defense Department. So in accordance with policy now reinstated.
Yeah, you get the idea with that one, right? Right. Let me get out of that screen. Stop screen sharing. Okay, so, oh my God. That's one thing he said. And then sometime back, he said, we're not going to do that shit anymore, talking about trans people and all this kind of stuff in the military. These people are knowledgeable. They're highly skilled. They're trained. They know what they're doing. And so I don't understand why the heck anyone would want them out. So you have to start asking yourself, why would people want them out? This statement about being dishonorable is full of crap. That's just stupid. But they had to come up with something in order to kind of sell themselves on. Really, you know what I think it's all about? I think their masculinity is challenged because they're not really secure in their masculinity, and they have to go around and go, that group right there, we don't want to see. This is silo thinking again. It's the same stuff I was talking about before. Here you have people policing what it means to be man or woman. And you can connect the biological part to that if you wanted to. You can go all the way back into genetics, but how many of you actually know your genetics? How many of you do really know it? Do you know the nuances of all those X's and Y's and all the different things and the epigenetic factors that could influence who you are and why you don't look like the person sitting next to you? There's all kinds of stuff in there that you think you know, but you don't. So we get into these silos. And that's what Hegseth is doing. That's what Trump is doing. And that's what this whole administration is doing. They are creating this conservative silo that is not really conservative. It's not Republican even. Really, all it amounts to is, what do we call it? Following the leader or just trying to win or trying to get something done that they think they ought to be doing. They're policing this thing and making it look like them. I don't know how else to say that. It's just kind of, I don't know. What do you think? Put some comments in the chat box if you're watching, whatever you want to do. You can put some comments down there. I'll talk to you. So now let's go back to this show for just a second. I'm changing the topic kind of. The midday muster and the path forward is designed to bring in people to have a conversation with. I can bring in one or two people on each show. If you're interested, you can go in and click on the email or just send me an email. Let me know what you'd like to be involved in this. And I love to have people who would be willing to talk with me about all kinds of different topics. I don't care. I mean, if you want to talk about space or going to Mars or how much food's still on the shelves in the stores or whether or not these businesses are tacking on the tariff surcharge. Some of them are. And any topic at all. Now, there'll come a point where I will probably piss a bunch of people off. But that's all right. That's all right. Come back this evening at 6, and we'll continue this conversation a little bit more and just change it up and see how entertaining we can get with it. All right. Have a good